You do the intro, yeah?
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Jaffe. I'd like to welcome you to our fourth webinar in our New Economy Summit series. And I'm the co-founder and co-director of Successful Business Advisors with my co-director, Laurent Mass. And we're very pleased to welcome you here this morning for this webinar. Laurent.
Thank you, David. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. My name is Laurent Mass and co-founder of Successful Business Advisor. Very pleased to have you here this morning. And today, again, someone very special to my heart, Darrell Hardidge. Darrell is the founder of Sagwiti, a customer research company that has interviewed over 500,000 customers about their service experience. He is a published author and regular media commentator on the subject of team culture and customer service. Today, he will share the insight of what creates the #1 company and how customer loyalty is the new gold standard of business. So welcome, Darrell, and the floor is all yours.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Great to be with you. Today, what we're going to talk about is customer experience and loyalty, and how right now, in this situation that we have, in this current COVID, heading into post-COVID, hopefully, environment, and how that's going to impact business. Now, one of the things that we see a lot of in our research company is how people react to the way they respond to their service experience. So, what a lot of companies need to focus on right now, and depending on whatever role you're in, if you run a company, own a company, a manager, part of the team, whatever it may be, the one thing that's very, very important right now, every single person in every business is in the customer experience business right now. Now more than ever, every single person is the custodian of the company's success. And every single person has to look at their role and how they engage with their team members in the business with one primary focus. How do we be the best, the #1 supplier in our market? So what I want you to think about when you're delivering your products or services to your market, know that your customers deal with a whole range of other suppliers, especially if you're in a B2B market. The one thing we say to all of our clients is, your focus is to be the greatest supplier into your market. So what that means is that, let's say a company buys off 50 different suppliers, you're one of them. What you need to do is to look at ways so that your company is seen as the greatest in customer service and experience out of all the people they buy from. Because there's a really unique situation that we're in right now. There's so much confusion, there's a lot of stress, there's a huge amount of stress and concern and uncertainty right through the world, and especially in your market. So the thing about this is you've got to look at how can you stand out? What is it that you can do so that you have an edge? And so quite simply, if you're not remarkable, you're not memorable. If you're not relevant, you're totally irrelevant. And if you're irrelevant and not memorable, you will have to spend a lot of money on marketing to bring people back. And there's one thing that great companies don't have to do. They don't have to buy their customers back because they've earned the right, and they willingly and happily and re-engage with them. First thought they have, you are the primary supplier to them. Whereas those that don't, they have to keep reselling into their market. And anyone who's watching this, if you find you have to resell into your market, it's a very, very clear indication that maybe your service isn't quite good enough. Because the one thing to be certain, in every market, product or service, it doesn't matter what it is, there's a #1 in every market. And that #1 company does not have to discount. So, I'm going to cover things on flip charts today. I really encourage you to draw and write down what I do, because you can use that with your teams and colleagues, what have you. The first thing is, there's a word in here. This is kind of like your X factor. It's what's your X factor to be the #1 supplier in your market, because everybody will say, oh yeah, we definitely, that's our aim, that's our goal, that's our commitment. But it doesn't mean you get there. There's one word that defines everything. And this determines what happens next in everything we do. What's your intention? Your intention determines what happens next. If your intention is near enough's good enough, that's not my job, we're not a premium brand, we don't have to do that, I don't have to, it's close to knock-off time, I'm going to leave it till tomorrow. Whatever it may be, if your intention is not optimal to be the best, then what you'll get is satisfaction. And one of the things that pretty much the whole market follows is a distinction that we're all about delivering high standards of customer satisfaction. Now, the thing is, we've all seen ads and billboards and things that say 100% satisfaction guarantee. Big deal. As opposed to what? Imagine if you saw a marketing campaign that said to you, you'll be 85% satisfied. You wouldn't be buying, because you'd be wondering, what's the 15% I don't get? 100% satisfaction, that's the starting line when it comes to customer loyalty. Customer loyalty is earned by constantly going above and beyond and reinventing and recreating your service offer so that you are that remarkable, relevant business. So you've got to look at the intention. So every day when you kick off, at home, if you've got work from home, in the office, in the showroom, whatever it may be for you, you must think about, what's our intention today? Are we clear that we are going to be the greatest company to deal with today? Whoever picks up the phone and calls us, whoever walks in the door, whoever we engage with, our intention is to give them the greatest service experience they're going to have today. That's just a choice. You've just got to choose it. And then, of course, you need good training and process and experience. However, the reality is that we can all do this. Great customer experience isn't hard. It's just not that easy to do. It's got to come from here. Really strong loyalty, and what I call unshakable loyalty. A lot of customer loyalty is linked to price. That's not loyalty. But unshakable customer loyalty, that's always from the heart. It's trust, it's understanding, it's friendly, it's helpful. It's a whole range of things that are emotional connections to your market. So you've got to look at, with your team, how do you make sure this intention is so clear every single customer interaction? So the other thing is, everything starts with beliefs. You've got to have a firm belief that you are that business, that you are that manager, that entrepreneur, director, owner, whatever your role is. You must have a belief, a very firm belief, that you can be and you are going to be the greatest supplier to your market. Because what our beliefs do, and we all have them, and in this current COVID situation we have, there are a lot of people that have had their beliefs absolutely shaked to the core. A lot of people's beliefs have changed. A lot of people have a belief that it's not safe to come back to work. So if they have that belief, then how well are they going to serve your customers? You must be so connected to your team right now, because they are the one thing that you can control. If you think of it this way, in all of this uncertainty, there's not a lot we can control, but there is one thing we can control. That is how well we serve our customers. That has got nothing to do with anything else. That's a choice, and it's within our own power. We get to choose how great we're going to be to deal with. We get to choose how we're going to be on the phone. We get to choose that type of standard we're going to give to the market. That's got nothing to do with anything else but us. So your beliefs have to be so firm there. From here, what this does, and this is big in business right now, is you have to think about how this impacts mindset and attitude. Because if you deal with someone at the moment who's got a bad attitude, then you look at, well, what's their beliefs? And it may be, you know, I don't like this job. I don't care. I'm not paid enough to give great service. And what I'm finding at the moment is it isn't so much grey anymore. It's very black or white. You either get, or what I'm experiencing, you either get really great service or really poor service. And the thing is that a lot of people that are giving the poor service, you've got to get back to, well, what's underpinning this? And as managers and leaders of our companies, we've got to make sure we've got our team really clear on what the beliefs are around delivering the highest possible standard of customer experience to generate that loyalty. So from here, what happens is it creates our behavior. This is what the market experiences. The behavior of our teams, the behavior of the culture of our company is underpinned by the mindset and the attitude, and that's underpinned by the beliefs, and that's right back here to what's the intention to be the number one supplier to the market. If you haven't got that, this is at risk or could fall apart. From here, we get results. And that's what my company measures. We measure the results of how well the team, the culture, the structures, all the processes deliver to the market. And we only do our research via the phone, all based here in Melbourne, my team. We don't outsource anything, and we do not do email research or text message research. In our view, that is a total waste of time. It'll tell you what, but it will never tell you why people feel the way they do. So you've got to understand the results that you've got. So the first thing is, for anyone running a business, if you don't have accurate results on your customer service and customer experience, then all you have is your opinion and guessing. And as the great W. Edwards Deming said, without data, you're just another person with an opinion. And there are plenty of opinions around right now. All people want to base their facts on are data. So you must have great data in your results around how you look at customer experience, because it's really, this is what it's about. This is where service, this is where you get to be great, to be number one, to really create that engagement and relationship with your market. It's all in the behavior, and it's not a once-off thing. It's the whole after sales and the follow-up and everything that goes with whatever you do. One of the other big things at the moment is customer journey. A lot of people talk about customer journey, but a lot of them don't quite understand how it works. I'll keep it really simple. Basically, this is you, your team, your company processes, and over here, this is your market. Now, these are touch points, and every business has got different types of touch points, but they are basically all the connecting points that your customers have with your company. And everybody fits in one certain touch point or works in multiple, because back through here is basically all the processes of the business. So your marketing, its job is to go out to the market and attract the most ideal prospect possible. And there is nothing greater than a referral. A referral is the most powerful marketing that ever has been, ever is, and ever will be. You will trust your friend before you'll trust Google. So when you've got really good marketing, you want your websites and your communication to attract the right people. So those that aren't coming from a referral, they really get to know that you're my ideal supplier, because it's very expensive to spend a lot of time wasted on people that aren't so suitable to your market. So you've got to get your marketing ideally to be a 10 out of 10. And then from there, it's your sales process. So your sales process is what brings the two together, brings your company and the market together. And so when your sales process is absolutely designed to be optimal, and that's a 10 out of 10, then you'll have a higher conversion rate. You won't have to discount. Your sales lag will be massively reduced, because right here is where we bring the two together. Now, in a B2B market, especially high value transactions, and that's usually where we play in, we don't measure pizza shops. But in high value transactions, usually when you get a new customer, it's the result of them having to leave someone else. So if they're leaving someone to come to you, There's a high expectation you're going to be better than what they've had, because why would you change otherwise? So this here is a very unique situation. And right now, more than ever, the pressure on salespeople is incredible, because without them, companies will go broke. And unfortunately, for a lot of companies, they don't have that respect and that true understanding of the stresses and the pressure of salespeople in the marketing process. They're everything right now to keep success moving. So you've got to make sure in your business that your salespeople are seriously supported, because they need that support. And the big thing is that what they're doing is, when they bring the market and your company together, they're creating a huge promise. Because I'm not promising I'm going to give you 85% satisfaction. I'm promising I'm going to give you the best experience. I'm promising you that if you leave that other company and come with us, we are going to be so better than that. And this is where a lot of the problems happen, is the salespeople, with all the best intentions, sell the service or product, and then after that, the new customer starts dealing with the business. So it deals with all the members on the team. And then it deals with your operations. Your accounts department is a huge one. It deals with your delivery process, your stock, your communication, and whatever other significant touch point you have. So for example, if I have a great experience with your salesperson, and I'm thinking this is great, and I come on board and I start dealing with different members of your team, and I've got a bit of variation. Some people are really friendly and helpful, some people aren't. That now impacts my experience. And then operations, and a big one for everybody watching this. Accounts receivable is critical to client experience, customer experience. You must make sure that whoever in your business is sending out invoices and collecting money, they are highly trained in communication, now more than ever. Because the stress in a recession around getting money in and working on payment plans with people and so on is so important to get right. Because if it isn't a pleasant experience, I'm going to go and look at someone else. What our research tells us, that if your accounts receivable department is low on customer experience, it can actually put your business with your key clients under serious threat. A lot of people aren't aware of this. So that's got to be a 10 as well. And you've got to look at it, simple things like the emails, the subject bars. I mean, we've had clients, when they've looked into this, there isn't even a phone number or a good signature on the email sent from the accounts department. It's got to be personal. It's got to come from the heart. Delivery processes. There's no point getting all of this correct and then you choose a cheap courier because it gives you more bottom line, and then I get a dud courier who drops the box at my door and breaks the product. You can get everything else right, but fail here, and that speaks to here. Same with not having stock. I'll go back once, twice, never again. And the big one is communication. We've done hundreds of thousands of phone calls. And what we know from right across the country, the #1 complaint in business is around poor communication, having to chase people up and all kinds of things. There's a lot of challenges in communication. And this is an area in your business that you need to look at it and think, what is it that defines a 10 out of 10 customer experience around communication? Because it's so critical to get that right. A simple mantra that one of our clients has is that no customer will ever contact us twice on the same issue. They'll only call us once. After that, we always take charge. If they have to call and chase us up, we failed. And I like that one. So the thing is with this, that what you've got to look at is within your teams, what's going on. There's this constant interaction between your team that's all delivering everything to that touch point. And the ignition is an email, a delivery, an invoice, a phone call, a sales conversion, whatever it may be. And what you've got to know is, out of all of those touch points and all of those customer engagements, the question is, what's the score out of 10? Because 8 out of 10 does not cut it. 8 out of 10 is satisfaction. 10 out of 10 or nothing is our mantra that we share with our clients. What does it take to achieve the optimal customer experience in your business? So you've got to look at these things and think, where do we have a weakness in a touch point? And the best way to find this out is to talk to your customers. And now more than ever, anyone who has account management, anyone who is an account manager, you hold the safety of the business right now. Account management is so critical. I had a client just recently who were looking at having to cut back, and they were going to cut back in account management. And I convinced them to not do that, because that is the conduit between the stress in the market and your business. They are the keeper of customer loyalty. So your touch points are critical. You've got to make sure that everything you have, the most critical areas of your business that connect to your market, are designed to give an optimal customer experience. So there's another thing known as the first 15%. And this process is what sits behind Six Sigma lean manufacturing, the process of building Toyota cars, Honda, Canon. It comes from W. Edwards Deming, Deming with one M, who is the founder of the world's quality systems. What I learned from a mentor of ours, which Darrell was talking about yesterday, Money in You, which I'll also say is just the most brilliant entrepreneurs program. So you must do Money in You. But the founder, the creator of that program, I've had the great fortune, I'm one of the few people really in the world in the last sort of few years have been able to work directly with Marshall, and I studied with him for 3 years. And he shared a lot of the things that he learned directly when he was studying with Edwards Deming for 10 years. And one of the things was this first 15% process. And basically what it says is that 85% of the success of an outcome happens within the first 15% of its planning. So when we're talking about customer experience and all the touch points, what you've got to do is think about how well are yours structured. So a simple example, if you think of a situation where you had something didn't work, right? So you had a customer experience where you had a complaint, bit of drama. Every business goes through this. So when you look at it, you got it delivered at the end and you got paid, but you know, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30%, somewhere through the journey, it didn't quite work. You might have run out of stock, didn't have enough people, but had the budget wrong, resources, didn't get the timeline right, whatever it is, something broke down in here. And so that stops this being the optimal 10 out of 10 experience. Whereas the companies that really get this right, the ones that plan and have that absolute crystal clear intention to be the #1 supplier, they look at it from a point of view that this is customer experience and this here is internal. And so you never go past this red line. So the planning is always done in the first 15%. And the way this is broken down is there's the first 15% of the first 15%, which is 2.25% of the whole customer journey. And then there's the first 15% of the first 15% of the first 15%. I know it sounds crazy, but that's 0.34% of the entire customer experience process to be designed optimally. Now, some people think they can't quite get their head around, well, how could you get it to 0.34% right? Well, a simple thing would be this. You take an order, you get the wrong phone number or the wrong address or the wrong part number. Now you've guaranteed this to be a disaster and you'll have to run around and fix it to deliver it correctly at the end. There are so many things in your business that when the customer starts to interact through here, you've got to think which are the first, second, third, fourth touch points that we have to make sure are optimal in this period here, so that we can be assured that we're going to deliver this incredible customer experience. Because if we don't get that right, then the rest is left to chance. So the key here is what has to happen in any situation of looking at setting up a new customer, starting a new process, whatever it may be in your business. The key to this is that what we have to do is we have to slow down and check, make sure we've got things right in here. So then we can go as fast and the most efficient as possible so that we can speed up. So slow down and get it right. Slow down and check. Make sure you've got stock or whatever it is you do, and check and have checklists and be certain. So then all your customer gets from this point on is this amazing seamless experience. And so all the touch points now are working in synergy so that you get the 10 out of 10. Now there's another big thing that's causing a huge amount of stress in business right now: discounting. We call it the price trap. Now, so many people believe it's the economy. In many cases it is, but in a lot of cases it's also not just the economy, it's the fact that they're not good enough. They're not good enough to achieve the superior price and margin. As I mentioned earlier, every market, product or service, whether it's selling texters, cars, home delivery, it doesn't matter what. There's a number one in every market, and rarely ever are they the cheapest. They're usually premium because they're worth it. So when you look at this in business, every company, it has an offer. It's either a product or it's a service. And a lot of us do both. We sell a product and a service. So coffee's a product and coffee's also a service. You can buy it in a takeaway cup or buy it in the beans. So if the offer is all around price, then what you have, and this is a price trap, is you end up with a price-driven market. And the hidden trap with this is when customers have a strategy of delivering satisfaction. When companies have a strategy to deliver a good standard of customer satisfaction around their product or service, without even realizing it, they're putting themselves into price, because there's nothing unique about satisfactory service. Nothing unique at all. What you've got to do is find out what is it that gives you that edge. And of course, the edge sits in a 10 out of 10 here, and you've got to find out what it is that causes it. And how do you go above and beyond your competitors so that you have this ability to predictably deliver excellent outcomes? There's no luck in 10 out of 10. It's really hard work, but it pays and pays and pays. Great service does not cost. It keeps paying forever in repeat business, referrals, number of transactions, and they spend the most wallet share with you. Satisfaction, I'm always looking at the price tag. So what you've got to look at is, how do you get into a value-driven market? And the key we're looking for is not satisfaction. What we're looking for is a whole new word and a whole new game. It's called customer appreciation. That's what I've written my 2 books on. It's what we've based our analytics on. We've created a whole new metric called the Customer Appreciation Index. And the Customer Appreciation Index is a measurement of excellence. Most research is measuring satisfaction. In fact, one of the biggest research companies in the world, every February, or in Australia, excuse me, every February announces the annual Customer Satisfaction Awards. I always get a kick out of that, thinking, wow, you're the best average in the country. Who wants to be average? You want to be the best. And so appreciation is that heart connection to your market. Satisfaction is the head connection, and this is price. So to get here, you've got to find a way to be unique. And it sits in this. You must know how to deliver a unique, transformational experience. A unique, transformational experience is what people appreciate. Don't just give me what I'm paying for. You must go beyond that. You have to find a way to look at what it is in your service offering, and especially with your people. You've got to get what's called HX, human experience. You've got to make sure the human experience with your market is so predictably great that you'll achieve appreciation. And this is a challenge with a whole lot of online because we're taking the human engagement out. And while it has efficiencies and it's, you know, part of the new world that we're living in, don't ever leave out the human engagement and never underestimate its power. Because you could do the whole contactless and click process to my door. But a phone call to follow me up to say, Darrell, are you happy with it? Is everything okay? Is there anything else we can do for you? That sends a massive message that you really, really care and that you are going above and beyond to make sure that my experience is excellent. So what you want to look at is in your business, how do you define unique? And how do you define a unique transformation experience that's value driven and appreciated by your market? Now, the first trap to determining that, don't think you know yourself. Your team can sit around a boardroom all day and you will not get this right. The only people who can tell you what a unique transformational experience is are your customers. And you achieve this when this score here is a 10 out of 10. When that's a 10 out of 10, they're saying, wow, everything about your company, I love it, it's extraordinary, you're my number one supplier, and that's because you had an intention to be up here. So wherever you can, you must look at this. And this is the great opportunity that sits right now, because what's happening in this situation, there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of companies that are not knowing what to do, and there will be a lot of companies that unfortunately will fall away. There's no question about that. My firm belief is we're sitting in a bubble at the moment. We are not seeing the reality of the economy yet because there's so much money going into it. But once that stops and we get back to the basics of supply and demand, it's going to be a very different situation. So what you've got to do is start now to prepare to avoid the price trap. And if you find anything right now that where people are coming to you saying, oh, look, I've had a better price from someone else, that's telling you that you're down here. Because if you think of the people that you buy from, you think of the companies that you love to do business with, those companies that you're unshakably loyal to, you are looking out for them and you are doing everything you can to protect them because you need them there for you. Customer appreciation is an equal exchange. I need you and you need me, and we both support each other. Customer satisfaction, it's a one-way street. How much, what do I get? So you've got to make sure you can look at this. And anywhere you can find areas that you feel are an error, look at it and get on the phone and talk to your customers and just have a chat with them. If you can, if you're able to, go and see them. Take them a coffee or something. This is the time to rebuild these relationships. Now, what is also a major stress around price is the distinction of high need, low power. There's a lot of companies right now that what they may be unaware of, they're in the price trap here, and they have to bring in new customers. So right now, they have a high need for new customer acquisition. If you're in a high need for new customer acquisition because you haven't got your existing ones coming back, then you have very low power to negotiate. So one of the key things that what we're saying to our clients is, the number one question on everyone's thought is, how do we get our customers back? How do we get them back and not lose any? And you don't want to do it by discounting. If you have a high need to get them back, you have low power. But the number one companies, the ones that get this bit up here right, that have the unique transformational experience, that have appreciative customers and a value-driven market, what they have is they have a low need for new customer acquisition because they're not losing anybody, and as a result of that, they have very high power to negotiate and maintain margin. So these are the really critical things that right now you've got to look at. Anywhere you're getting pressure, you have low power. To get into the green and avoid the red, you've got to look at getting up here and stay down here. And the other thing there is making sure, because if you have your first 15% out, that'll put you into high need. If you have weak touch points and you have a 7 or an 8 out of 10 customer experience, that will put you into high need. And that's very, very risky. In fact, that will send companies broke. And a lot of companies won't actually realize they're discounting themselves out of existence. And you've got to make sure that the sales team and so on are so super tight on this, so they are on top of that to avoid this. And now more than ever, salespeople need to be supported and trained. So whatever you've got going on in your business, have they got the right material? Is it up to date? Are they being trained? How are they being supported? They are the greatest asset, because at the front end of the business, if they don't get it right here and cause the relationship and the new conversion, you haven't got anything. So your salespeople and your account managers are so critical, more than ever. Look after them. So the other thing that sits with this is what we call the golden rule of customer experience. So, as I mentioned before, most companies are still focusing on satisfaction. My desire from today, my intention from today is that you remove the concept of customer satisfaction completely out of the dialogue of your business as far as relating to it being a good thing. Whenever you hear people talk about satisfaction, get into conversation about that. Satisfaction is the price track. So this is Edwards Deming's distinction of quality, and this was one of the foundation principles that he built the quality systems of Toyota from. When I was studying with Marshall, and it was one of those situations, it was like in the first hour of a 3-day course, first time I ever met him. And I've been looking for quite a few years to find another way beyond this satisfaction measurement, because I knew that 10 out of 10 is not satisfaction, it's more than that. And so every now and then you have the good fortune of meeting someone, a really powerful mentor and a wise person who can give you some insights that will shift your game. And it was in that first hour that I got the whole distinction that we reframed and restructured our entire company upon, and what my books are based on. And so basically, in order to achieve the highest standards of customer experience, a quality customer experience, you must remove the variation out of your service experiences. What that means is, don't get the delivery right 4 out of 5 and then stuff it up on the 5th one. That's variation. Or once a month get 1 in 20 of my invoices wrong. That's variation. Or the communication. Some people call me back and are really good, and other people I have to chase up. That's variation. Or even the friendliness of your team and their commitment to being of service to me. If that's out between your team, that's variation. Anywhere there's variation in a touch point, it ends up measured in customer experience every time. So when you reduce the variation in your business, which is all parts of processes and systems and team training and putting the right people in the right seat on the bus, when you get all of that done, you achieve what we call the holy grail of business, and that is achieving maximum customer appreciation. So from now on, please, that's the only thing you talk about. Having appreciative customers, not satisfied ones. Appreciative. It's a heart connection. Appreciative customers will be unshakably loyal. 10 out of 10, I don't look at the price tag. I trust that you're not ripping me off. And I trust that the extra bit I'm paying will be paid for down the track by the speed of service, or if I have any need for support, you're right there with me. If I've got to bring something back, there's no questions asked. When you deliver that high value experience, the price tag disappears. When you give me a low value experience, it's all about the price tag. So what you've got to look at is how do you get everyone on your team to first be this model for each other. So in here, when we talked about all the different connections in your business, you can't have variation across your departments. You can't have one department arguing with another department, because if that's happening internally, it's happening externally, guaranteed. That's what we measure. It comes up all the time when we're surveying customers. If there's a problem back in here, it shows up in their experience. You'd be amazed at how they pick things up. So what you've got to look at is how do you make sure your first 15% process is eliminating variation in your business. So when you do that, you have this unique situation. Because what we look at is from the price track perspective. If you think of it this way, being cheap won't make you great, but being the greatest, that will make you cheap. So you've got to look at, when people talk about price, you go, well, if we're the greatest, we're already cheap. But if we're not, it's all about price. So these are some of the key things that what we see in the core distinctions of how to create a context, and the context being the fruit bowl, the content being the fruit, the context being the structure of your business, and the content being your customers going into it. So if you don't have a strong context, they're going to leave. It's going to crack, they're going to fall out. So you've got to think about, how do you be that number one supplier to your business? Because there is no question that customer loyalty is the gold standard of business. Because I would love to meet companies over the next 6 months that don't care about this. And unless they're the only one for 100 kilometers and have a complete monopoly, but anywhere there's a competitive market, that's what most of us deal in. Anyone who thinks you can just get away with satisfaction, good luck with that. Because having that unshakable customer loyalty is pretty much the only thing that's going to protect companies and keep them strong. So that pretty much covers the basis of what I wanted to talk about. I've got a few other things we can look at, but I just want to check in with Laurent. Excuse me.
Thank you, Darrell.
Okay, all right. Back to you, Laurent.
Thank you. We can open to the Q&A, and there is Georgie that mentioned one comment to kick off this Q&A. This period has shown up tech online company that don't have the human experience, customer service in place. Yeah, it's not a question, it's a statement from Georgie, but maybe you can bounce on that.
Sure. Look, for that, Georgie, the thing is, I go back to a few years ago, I think it was Tony Hesh or Heath or whatever, how you pronounce his surname, the guy that created Zappos, the online shoe store in America, and sold it for well over $1 billion. And I remember watching an interview with him, and it was extraordinary, because he said that other companies would measure the performance of their call centers by how many calls per hour they did. So their measurement of performance was based upon how they could get more calls made for the hours and wages that they paid, which was so wrong, because there's no space for human experience there. What he did is he gave his team all the time in the world to talk on the phone. And some of their calls would go for over 30 minutes, and he didn't care. Because in that conversation, even though they never saw a person, everything was bought online and delivered in a box on their door. The only human engagement they had, the human experience, was the phone call. And so they just dialogued with people, and they would call them back, and they would, talk about a whole range of things. And he just let them be natural and just let them talk. And of course, was it successful? Well, when you get, I think, $1.5 billion for your online shoe business, I would say that's pretty successful. And that was using that model of let the human experience come through the phone and let people just interact as much as they need to, so that we give them that sense of comfort and confidence that we're the best company to buy from. And he proved to be the #1 online shoe store. And they caused that human experience. They made it happen out of choice. They had a very, very clear intention that if you pick up the phone, we're the best. And the big thing that he talked about was for a lot of online businesses is they hide the telephone somewhere deep into the website because they want people to use the email system and online ordering. And when you get to the core of this, a lot of the times that's done because the bean counters in the business see that as more profitable. Because if we can get people to push them onto online, we don't have to have people on the phones. He had it the completely opposite model. Right across the top of every page of their website was their phone number in big numerals. And it was just saying, call me, ring us up and talk. So he was so promoting people to call because then they could engage. So there's lots of ways in the digital world that you can still bring this back into the fold. And that's the secret. That's what the #1 companies will do. Anything else, Laurent?
Thank you, Darrell. And Georgie mentioned, love that some online companies have excelled, but it has exposed those who have relied on automated systems with no thought to human customer experience. So thank you, Georgie, for that. Yes, we got a couple of questions. Michelle first. How do you relate this to professional service SMEs niched in a discipline, in example, customer appreciation in the engineering built environment?
Ah, perfect question.
Thank you, Michelle.
Look, that's a great one. So who had that again?
It's a Michelle.
Michelle.
Michelle Stevens.
Michelle, we have a client that sells nuts, bolts, and brackets. That's all they do on a big scale. Nothing sexy about it, nothing exciting about it, just huge volumes of steel. They have extraordinary customer experience scores, absolutely extraordinary. And the one thing about that business, that what they do differently, is it's all about the team. So when we've surveyed the market and we've asked them, wow, that's a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, what's the reason for your score? They never talked about having stock in the warehouse and got a massive warehouse. They didn't talk about, delivery on time and that sort of thing. It was way down the scale. They talked about the people, the friendliest, most helpful, understanding people ever. And that when things go wrong in the business and they've got to place an order because someone lost something or broke because they're in infrastructure and that sort of thing they supply to, that they have this reputation of whatever it takes. So if you place the order at 5 to 5, they'll still help you. That's not like, oh, too late. This is an extraordinary team, and it comes from the leadership, the 2 guys that own the company. And it's a family business, and they have such an intention and care to be the best in the market. And these are people that are walking around in high-vis vests and driving forklifts and everything else. But every one of those people, if you ask them what's their job, they'll tell you, my job is to make sure we deliver the best experience to our market. They're all talking about this. So quite often, it's the things that people least expect that stand out. We expect brilliant service if we go into a major shopping center or a high-value brand for new shoes or a suit or something like that. What we don't expect is to get that degree of service from companies that are just supplying stuff. And this is where the smart ones just absolutely own it and smash it out of the park, because they see every single customer as the most powerful thing and the most valuable thing they have. Because if you're ever going to sell your business, I'm going to buy your customers. I'm not interested in your stock, and you might have a good website and a few other things, but ultimately I'm going to buy your customers. That's your asset. So anywhere in like an engineering environment, and that's a very important one, because there's a lot of high-level engagement, a lot of highly paid people, a lot of very experienced professional people, and the pressure on getting things accurate, especially in engineering, is very, very high. And so there's a lot of stress in those markets too. And that's where those account management roles and that sort of thing, they really make a profound difference in keeping that glue of loyalty. Anything else, Laurent?
Thank you, Darrell. Yes, Judy asking the question, great presentation. I had a question around how can we better use SMS email marketing to understand customer satisfaction?
Oh.
Leave it to you.
Okay. First of all, what I want you to do now is not talk about customer satisfaction, because customer satisfaction is just not, it's not going to help you stand out. And SMS certainly has its place, and so does email surveys and so on. They definitely have a place. Where they have a great place is in checking in on a particular touch point. So if you've got a delivery, for example, then sending an SMS to get feedback on that delivery right in that moment is a really powerful way to do it. So there's certainly benefits in that. So, I'm kind of kidding a little bit. But when it comes to measuring the overall experience of dealing with every touch point in your company, because that's what customer experience is. It's not just a part, it's the sum of all the parts. The sum of all the parts. And so therefore, SMS, in my world, doesn't cut it. You've got the wrong theory to get the best outcome. You've got to pick the phone up. Because when you say great, I go, wow, thank you. Tell me why we're great. When you say it's not good enough, I can dialogue back and forth with you, and I can document the conversation. I can learn what's really going on, because that way it's proactive. Our researchers, we pick up the phone, call you and dialogue with you, and we'll get to the truth. But if I'm only relying upon a reactive response from you, I've got to guess. So hopefully that helps you with that, because look, it is a good thing to do, but be very specific about what you want to ask. If you want to measure overall customer experience, that's not going to work. I'm straight up about that.
Thank you, Darrell. It's quite clear. Another question from Michelle. How do you get around AI, artificial intelligence, processes to soften the client experience?
Look, that's an interesting one, and we're all learning about this. I mean, there are things going on in this area that are surprising us on what can be done. The only thing is, though, that I think a lot of companies will be vulnerable if they just rely too much on that AI, because at the end of the day, it's helpful. It certainly can help you to guide you to certain things and what have you around information. And if you're trying to work out how to find a user manual or something like that, it has incredibly powerful applications. But in measuring customer experience, I still think that's got to be a human thing, because humans understand humans. And this is the interesting thing. It's a great question. When people are measuring satisfaction, it's mechanical. When we're measuring appreciation, it's human. It's emotional. And so therefore the AI, I believe at this point in time, especially at this point, it's not working, because as well as the human engagement is. And I've spoken to people on that, and we're testing a few things on that. There's a company in Adelaide that we know in this area, and we're looking at this because, what can we do to adapt with that? So it's an evolving thing, and it will get better. But until it's proven, human to human is still the key thing.
Thank you, Darrell. It's a really great answer. I invite other participants to ask questions, but I prepared a bit a question. And what is the greatest risk to customer loyalty today?
The greatest risk to customer loyalty today?
Yes.
The greatest risk to customer loyalty today is the intention of the team. If the intention of the team is, that's not my job, we're not a premium brand, I'm not paid enough to do that, that's the greatest risk to customer loyalty. Because whatever that intention is here is being played out in all the touch points that engage with the market multiple times. For some companies, customer interaction is going off hundreds of times a month. Every phone call, every delivery, they might be delivering 2 or 3 times a day, who knows what. We've got clients that are delivering multiple times a day. So their touch points are in the thousands across the year of a client, customer. So if that intention isn't right, if that intention is to deliver satisfaction because that's what the standards are, that's going to put customer loyalty at serious risk.
Thank you, Darrell. Danny just missed the start, and she was asking if it's recorded. And yes, Danny, I just replied to you. You will receive the record. And Michelle just saying as well, thank you, Darrell. Your distinction between mechanical and inhuman engagement and human engagement has been great. Perhaps the best response I have heard in a long time. Michelle, So
Thank
Michel loved it, and
Everybody.
and I would like, I think everybody definitely loved it. I would like to ask a final question to wrap it up. How do managers inspire their team to be number one?
How do managers inspire their teams to be number one?
Yes.
Look, I think great leaders, that's their responsibility to inspire. But in some cases, with different people that I'm in business groups with, this has been a bit of a challenge with people coming back to work, working from home, job keeper working less hours per week. There's a whole lot of things around that. I think the key is that there's this opportunity now for every leader to engage their teams as one unit, to basically have everyone understand that if we don't have customer loyalty, we don't have a job. And so part of the things that I've had clients work on, and this is something for people to do, go and do the 80-20 rule on the revenue in your business. So the most critical clients, and work out how many there are. You may categorize them, work out the average revenue of them, and then get your break even on your business, and then work out how many premium clients can you afford to lose before you have to start cutting back. And I've had people do this, and I had one in particular who said out of the top 100 clients, they only needed to lose 6 with the average revenue, and they'd have to start cutting staff or move to 4 days a week. So what they did was they communicated that to the company. And they said, this is the risk we're at. We cannot lose a customer. So it's everyone's responsibility to protect them like it's their child. They are the greatest asset we have, and we are the greatest asset the customers have. And so when people see it as it's their obligation, their responsibility, and their commitment to protect customer loyalty, the number one task on their job list, then from an inspiration from management and so on, it becomes very easy, or it should become easy. Everybody owns loyalty for the company right now more than ever, because anyone who thinks it's not their job, well then when the cutbacks happen, you could be dead right. It's not your job anymore.
Correct. Thank you so much, Darrell. We have to wrap up. It's already 12 o'clock.
Thanks, Darrell, very much for your presentation. So much content there for you, and I could probably do another hour presentation following this based on my experiences and talk about what clients I've had to tell them in this environment and over the many years I've been in practice. And we're just really thankful for your presentation today. You did mention one word that just before that has come up in every presentation, and that's the opportunity going forward. Everyone's got to visualize that opportunity for themselves and then drive it. And you've given us some tools this morning to be able to implement into our business structures and take heed of. And I thank you for that. I have a question. Is this some of this content in the books that you've published?
Yes. Yes. And
good.
It would have been really good if I'd have got a couple of books out, wouldn't it? You know? As the guys know, I had trouble with my camera like 10 minutes before. I had to reboot my computer. So yeah, but they're on the website. So thank you, actually, David. Seguity, SAGUITY.com. There's 2 really good white papers there where we've mashed up a lot of data. And then yes, if you'd love to buy one of my books, then please do. You can just click there. It'll take you through to Amazon.
Yes,
thank you very much.
We'll send that to everyone. Thank you very much, Darrell. Thank you very much, everyone, all the attendees. I invite you for tomorrow that will cover David and I financial modeling on this new economy, and really plenty of tools and tips to be at the top of your finance and your financial model for your business. So thank you so much, and wishing you a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Live long and prosper.
Yes.